Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Discussions. I am your host for Discussions, James Parana Madonna of Mega Life 21, the hardest-hitting internet talk radio station on the planet, and I am here at the Uncensored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. And I'm also here, of course, with my co-host and mentor, the one and only, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisen. How are you today, sir?
Hi.
Oh yeah, by the way, the Northeast, I don't know about the entire Northeast, probably doesn't apply to Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine.
I can assure you
But
it's up in Ontario, so the entire Northeast.
really?
Yeah.
We're having a heat wave here. A bit of a tad bit of a drought, but a heat wave just the same. Yesterday in Newark, New Jersey, I guess because of the humidity and all the asphalt and concrete, it was a heat index total of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, it is estimated...
Temperature of 106.
When?
Yesterday.
Yesterday over here.
Ambient temperature of Newark. Newark, 106.
Ambient without the index.
Without the index.
Okay, and up here was, of course, we did go over 100, and today will be 104 without the heat index. So, but like Washington and Valley Forge, got an important battle going on. So, P.T. Barnum, I think, said it too, right? The show must go on. He also said something else that applies to America. There's a sucker born every minute, which should actually be changed to there's a sucker born every second. Excuse me, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing this court jester hat.
Why are you wearing that court jester hat?
Well, first let me start by saying I love me prop. It is an authentic imported Irish blackthorn shillelagh, hopefully destined for the skulls of right-wing fundamentalist conservatives. But the reason why I'm wearing this court jester hat is it represents probably the biggest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people, which is the right-wing conservative propaganda Tea Party scam that Americans, middle-class Americans most likely, fell for hook, line, and sinker. It has to do with the fact that conservative Republicans, or should I say Republicans, have told middle America, who happens to have the tax burden and is strangled in every which way, financially, getting laid off, losing their homes, but mostly tax burden is on their shoulders, middle class and whatever's left on the poor. The Tea Party conservatives have told middle America, and this was before last November's election for Congress, that it's the fault of liberal Democrats, moderate, liberal, whatever. The reason why the tax burden is on the middle class shoulders, it's all the fault of Democrats, and also the bad economy, probably the worst, one of the worst economies in U.S. history, right? And the almost non-existent job market is also the fault of Democrats. Everything is the fault of Democrats. Well, now we call them Dummycrats because they have sold out their voters, the poor and the middle class. So this is a lie. What they don't tell you, the Weeper of the House, John Bonehead Boner, whatever, or Boehner, what he doesn't tell you when he made this statement recently about tax hikes destroying American jobs, tax hikes destroy American jobs, which is a big lie. And he also said, also John Boehner did not mention about the fact that he was really talking about tax hikes on the rich, corporations, the elitists. He didn't mention about tax hikes on the middle class, which seems to be fine with Republicans, with conservatives. Oh no, John Boehner did not mention at all about the tax hikes going on the middle class. What he really meant was tax hikes on the wealthy and corporations is a job destroyer in America. And reality is your jobs will be outsourced. regardless, how many taxes, how much taxes that the corporations and the elitists will pay. And they're not paying anything, by the way, thanks to conservatives. And the tax hikes on the middle class were not mentioned by John Boehner, the crocodile tearing fake, phony, and fraud. And this is the great American hoax that I'm talking about, and this is why I am wearing the court jester's hat. Now, referring to a statement that stuck in my mind from the brand new issue of Censored, if America was a Christian nation, there would be no poor. Which is really true, because the Bible is loaded with verses concerning the rich helping the poor and selling their worldly material possessions and giving it to the poor. It's loaded with verses to defend the poor. And anti-rich and pro-poor information is loaded in the Bible. It's just chock full of information like that. But the conservative propaganda machine, who tell you that they are closer to God than us evil, wicked, lost souls, us secular humanists, liberals, that we're so,
baby killers.
Baby killers. We're so damned. Okay, we're closer to God than they will ever be, because they don't know their Bibles. They only thump them. Conservatives do. And this is the great hoax. John Boehner recently said it, and of course, Dr. Bill, he cut off the talks with President Obama concerning the budget. So you see where the bipartisanship and compromising obsession of President Barack Obama and the Democratic Party, you see where it's leading them? Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, cut the talks. Stop the talks. Go ahead.
I don't know, 60-some or whatever Republicans signed Grover Norquist's pledge that there will be no tax hikes. So therefore, there's nothing to discuss, because...
No tax hikes on who? On the rich?
On the rich, of course. Who do you think?
Has nothing to do with the middle class, who are carrying the burden of taxation, right?
Certainly. They've been doing that for 30 years.
But they don't tell the public, and the media, shame on you, American media, does not tell the public either. And Barack Obama has not told the public what the Republicans really mean by no tax increases and job destroying. Taxes are job destroying, and tax hikes will destroy jobs. It's all a big lie.
So the point is,
no one in Washington,
there will be no compromise.
No compromising, no bipartisanship, no big, let's all get along and love each other. That's all out the window. And still, nobody in Washington, no Republican, no Democrat, has come forth and told the real truth, that what they really mean is no tax hikes on the rich, and what they really mean is that tax hikes on the rich do not create jobs. It's a big lie. So not even a Democrat is coming forth in front of a major network camera and told the American people how it really is. So I just find that quite a joke, quite amusing, an embarrassment to the world. And of course the American people were hoodwinked last November when they voted in a conservative Republican-controlled Congress. All right, biggest lie perpetrated, biggest hoax perpetrated on the American people. That's why I have the court jester's hat on. And on top of everything, I just want to say that Chris, speaking of Republican conservatives, mean-spirited ones too, the poster boy for the conservative Republican Party, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, recently had a little photo op going. Well, anyway, he visited this senior citizen. He was talking. He was walking.
Hold up on that, because I got an article on that.
Yeah, he was walking with her. He was strolling with this lady on the news. I was watching it. He was strolling with her down on the sidewalk, like he was like her buddy.
Well, he had a choreographed event where he visited an 84-year-old woman.
And she supposedly told him, she supposedly told Chris Christie that she's a lot better off now with Chris Christie at the helm as governor than she was before Chris Christie.
All right, well...
Was that the statement? Because that's the one I heard.
All right, I have an article on that, and I also have an opinion piece that went to the newspaper concerning that. So we will be on the lookout to see if that is printed.
Okay, so but there, as far as Chris Crisco Christie visiting the senior citizen lady and talking with her, you know, you see the psychology that they're using. This guy, you know, in other words, you have an article on that.
Right here.
All right. I will dummy up, as Archie Bunker used to say, and I will wait until my co-host and mentor reads that article, which he happens to have it on the forefront of his desk. Now, I'm sorry, it is Saturday, what is it, July 23rd of July 2011.
Yeah.
And I just want to say one last thing, that I'm reading from my clipboard, that La Nina is back. The drought has begun, but next year, the summer of 2012 is supposed to be a very, very severe drought because of La Nina, which is supposedly, please correct me if I'm wrong, people, it's when the average temperature in the Pacific Ocean goes down about 10 degrees cooler, something like that. I think La Nina is, 10 degrees warmer, and no, La Nina is 10 degrees warmer, and La Nina, which I imagine is the opposite female version, is 10 degrees cooler. But anyway, the drought will be very bad last year. It's starting now. Grasshoppers are not eating grass. They're attacking produce. They're attacking peaches in Georgia. And this means skyrocketing produce prices for 2012, and knowing how corporate America is, they will use this drought as an excuse to keep skyrocketing produce prices continuing even after the drought has ended, if it does end, because it will be 2012, and we will have very, very severe once in a blue moon solar flares, maybe at a dangerous level that might knock out the electrical grids in America.
Because of the hole in the ozone.
Because of the hole in the ozone caused by the excess fluorocarbons created by the greedy, evil petroleum companies, the gas companies, the oil companies, the big oil companies that conservatives in Washington love to bail out and give your hard-earned tax dollars to, welfare to the rich, the destruction of the ozone layer, the holes.
Remember, that's not socialism either.
Giving welfare to the rich?
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's not socialism.
When you give it to the poor.
Yeah, when you help the poor, which is very Christian. That's socialism. Then you're a commie pinko, according to conservatives.
That's correct.
You see the double standard. You see the hypocrisy with Republicans. But anyway, holes in the ozone layer, dangerous solar flares for 2012, a very, very severe drought because of La Nina. Boy, it sure looks like 2012 is getting off to a good start. And also we have the planets lining up, which might mean our demise if the poles happen to shift. I don't know, it doesn't look very promising, but getting back to the prices of produce, I predict that they will price gouge you to death, consumers, and keep the prices high like they did the last time we had a drought. But it wasn't a La Nina severe drought, it was a run-of-the-mill drought. But that's what happened in America, that's what I remembered. So anyway, that's it. Continue with none other than the first article, and it happens to be that very article about Chris Christie, right?
Governor Christie.
Here we go.
And Assembly Democrats.
Yeah.
choreographed separate events on Thursday
Right.
to offer competing visions of how the recently enacted budget plays out across the state. After weeks of criticism over his budget cuts, Christie visited the home of an 84-year-old retiree from Perth Amboy, Sultana Kizides, to boast about how the state gave her more than $2,400 through separate property tax rebate programs that were increased in the budget.
Wait a minute. Wait, whose administration gave this woman these rebates?
Christie.
Oh, he brought back the... No, he didn't. Oh, continue. Continue.
It's good to see seniors are better off today under the program we put in place in the last 18 months than they were before, said Christie, who met privately with Kazides for nearly 40 minutes before opening the meeting to the press.
Oh, gee.
In the meantime, about 40 miles away, Assembly Democrats invited several people to speak before the Assembly Budget Committee, and they offered wrenching testimony about how the disadvantaged fared under Christie's budget cuts. Shay Rhonda Drew, a recent college graduate who has been in a wheelchair since age 18, credited her success to the Cheshire Home, an adult daycare center whose state reimbursement was cut. I came to the Cheshire Home and I was only 18 when I got hurt, she said. I didn't know where else to go, but they helped me to accomplish all the goals that I accomplished today.
Oh, boy.
The two scenes encapsulated the partisan tone in Trenton in recent weeks as Republicans and Democrats traded accusations over the budget. Christie noted that Kazides had a check for more than $2,000 from the state's Senior Freeze program and said she will receive $415 under the Homestead Rebate program.
He brought that back?
Far above what she got last year. Kazides said she quickly deposited the Senior Freeze check because we never know what's coming and what has to be paid back to the city and the state.
She got that right.
The increase in the Senior Freeze program was one of the few items Democrats introduced in their budget that was not vetoed by Christie.
Oh, how nice and
The
magnanimous.
governor did not increase funding in his initial February budget proposal. Christie blocked Democratic attempts to restore funds for nursing homes and adult day care centers, saying there was not enough money. Operators said the cuts will result in a loss of services and jobs. Now, what was missing from that article, and what I wrote to the local newspaper, concerned the Homestead Rebate program and the Senior Freeze program. Now, I know of a personal incident where a gentleman who is a senior citizen and disabled used to receive a homestead rebate of $910 every year.
And it definitely came in handy.
However, one year he did the Senior Freeze program and got all of $6.01.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Now,
like my
the
uncle used to tell
the
me.
Senior Freeze
Gave me
program
$2. Yeah.
under Christie and the Homestead Rebate under Christie no longer go to senior citizens who are tenants or the disabled that are tenants. They only go to homeowners.
Oh, really?
Now that's why that woman received those checks.
The homeowner.
But before Christie, tenants who were senior citizens and disabled received those those checks also.
Well, senior citizens and disabled people obviously live on a minuscule, microscopic fixed income, and I say microscopic because of the ever-increasing price gouging, rip-off, high cost of living that keeps on going up, 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 up. I think they deserve it, despite the fact that they live in apartments. I think seniors who have paid taxes into this American system their whole life and worked hard their whole life should not be penalized because they live in an apartment. And handicapped people definitely need the money. And
well, that's what he took away.
you know, look, Medicare sucks. I mean, most likely, handicapped people collecting Social Security disability, as well as retired seniors living in apartments, most likely have Medicare, which is shit. It's probably a little better than Medicaid, but you know they don't pay for everything, right, Dr. Bill?
Actually, Medicaid is probably better than Medicare because Medicaid does pay for everything.
You just have
basically.
you just have to get approval.
Yeah,
You have to get approval.
No, you have to be absolutely destitute.
Oh, okay. You mean like yeah, like if you make $800, if your income is $800 or more per month, you're too wealthy to have a Medicaid card.
Yeah.
You figure that with the cost of the American healthcare system and how they just are worse than vampires, and they're just total crooks compared to the European Union and Canada's healthcare system.
Well, we're not rich enough country to do the things that the Europeans do.
Oh,
See?
yeah.
Oh, the Republicans will boast that we're the best country in the world, we're the richest country in the world, but we can't afford that, you see.
Now that comment made by this gentleman that you know, would you like me to use his first name? No? You want to protect him? If it was me, I ream him a new asshole. But anyway, I won't mention his first name out of respect for my partner and co-host, but I would have torn him. Anybody who defends conservative Republicans, I will have torn him a brand new asshole.
No,
But
wait a minute, who did that?
the thing you emailed me, the comment about your newsletter, the guy who was...
Oh, well, how do we get on that subject?
Oh, well, he ruffled your feathers.
Well, we'll handle that in the next issue.
Oh, next issue or next segment later on?
No, the next issue.
Oh, you don't want to talk about that?
Well, why would I talk about it when people haven't read the article? They ain't going to know anything about it. Only the people who read the article will make any sense
That's
to.
right. That's right. But it sounded like he was at the end, to make a long story very short, it sounded like he was kind of like admitting that a hybrid form of democracy, capitalism and socialism, a hybrid form seemed like the most fair form.
Supposedly we had that.
Well, which is what Europe has, right?
Until deregulation.
So when liberal Democrats have total control over Washington and the states, you have a hybrid.
Yeah.
Which is the most fairest, most compassionate form of democracy, right?
Wrong.
It's not.
Democracy and capitalism have nothing to do with each other.
Okay, so it's the fairest form of what? Capitalism?
Nothing. It's not fair
What
at
the
all.
fuck is it?
Compared to God's economics, it's garbage.
Well, it's closer to God's economics than Republican version of government.
Well, wait a minute. Are you talking about government or economics now?
I'm talking about the overall good...
Capitalism is economics.
The overall...
Democracy is government.
I'm talking about the overall picture of something that would work for the best interest of everyone, of all incomes and all...
That would be God's economics.
Status. Well, yeah, fat chance of getting that.
I don't see why not.
From a human being?
Especially from people who call themselves Christians.
Well, I'm saying to try...
Otherwise, what are we talking about here? Hypocrisy?
People are... Yeah, hypocrisy. Well, human beings
are... we going to... You think that Michelle Bachmann is a hypocrite? I mean, she's so genuine
She's so
in her faith and belief.
Now, the conservative coven of witches is what I affectionately call them. Are all the females who are in politics that normally a woman, like minority people and the poor, normally and young people in general, college age, normally they tend to lean towards more liberal politicians when they run for office, because they know that they have their best interests at heart. They used to, not the conservative Republican, corporatists who do not have your best interests. They're all for the rich. But now we have these conservative coven of witches like Michelle Bachmann and all the others. Before we had Christine the Witch O'Donnell, and then we had Governor Brewer, the racist down in Arizona, and we had Sarah Palin,
Engels,
who was a hot piece of ass when he ran. She was in what was she? Won Miss Alaska when she was young.
Yeah,
Sarah Palin.
Something like
yeah, Linda Lunchbox McMahon, who of course her husband paid for her campaign, because if a Republican gets in Connecticut, where the WWE main office is, then he would not have to pay income taxes on the vast fortune that he's amassed, from his WWE empire. There's always a catch. The same, Steve Forbes was for the flat tax. With a flat tax, the rich don't end up not paying taxes. Okay. What's his name? Donald Trump. He had a selfish agenda for doing that fake run for office, because then he later came clean and he supported conservatives, saying that Democrats or liberals spend money like drunken sailors. Meanwhile, it's okay to spend money like a drunken sailor to give Wall Street over trillions of dollars in bailouts, right?
When it's just the opposite. Just look back at the Reagan administration, first Bushy and the second Bushy, all spending like drunken sailors and then blaming the Democrats when the Democrats get into office.
See, the real truth is, people, is that Ronald Reagan, now listen to this carefully, and this has to do with the Great American Hoax, the reason why I'm wearing this court jester's hat. It was Ronald Reagan, I don't know how many times I have to say this, it was Ronald Reagan who shifted the tax burden from the rich, where it rightfully belonged. He shifted it to the middle class and the poor, and he deregulated businesses where they have a right to rip you off and screw you, and so on and so on. Anti-union worker, American worker, it's Ronald Reagan. He was the demon. But I think there was a bigger force behind Reagan. He was a puppet, right? The Hollywood star, the first Hollywood star running for a high political office.
The man who sold America.
The man who sold America. This is the real hard-hitting truth. Anyway, I'm going to do an imitation of the conservative coven of witches. This is what I used to do when we used to discuss Sarah Palin, because I called her the human slide whistle. These are the biatches of conservative politics. This is what I hear when they talk, because they're idiots anyway. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now, before you have to break for Lunchy Poo,
yeah, let me get this one in.
Let's get one more good article.
This is a letter.
Like the old 60s song, Baby, She Wrote Me a Letter, something like that.
Social Security was designed in 1935 as a retirement program.
Oh, really?
Now, I stress that.
Yeah.
Because did not your aunt continue to state that the Social Security situation was not a retirement program? It was supposed to be a supplement. Is that not correct?
Yeah, she says it was meant to supplement older Americans that were embarking on retirement. It's supposed to supplement your retirement, not be the primary source of a retired person's income. And obviously, the only people who can use Social Security checks as a supplement are those that are very financially independent, very well off.
Okay.
And there's not too many of those in America.
So, I continue. Social Security was designed in 1935 as a retirement program, not as a supplement retirement income.
Boy, they love to lie, conservatives, don't they?
In 1935, very few people had retirement income. Pensions were few and far between, and we were in the midst of a worldwide depression. The program was designed to help seniors in a time of economic disaster. In 1939, President Franklin Roosevelt and Congress extended the benefits to include not only the wage earner, but survivors of the contributor, i.e. widows and minor children. In 1956, the disabled were added under Republican President Dwight D. Eisenhower. What President Lyndon Johnson did in 1965 was to enact legislation that provided Medicare and Medicaid benefits. Everyone, no matter whether he or she contributed, was entitled to Medicare at age 65. But Medicare is not Social Security. Social Security is still based on what the wage earner puts in. And although widows and surviving children up to the age of 21 are covered, their payments reflect that of the deceased parent. By confusing Social Security and Medicare, there is no way to rationally discuss what needs to be done to make both fiscally viable. If Johnson's program were not enacted, we would not have Medicare, which to the right wing is an entitlement. But would you rather have seniors impoverished by their medical costs, add to everyone's costs by using emergency rooms, or just stop being a burden and die?
Any help towards the poor, any help for the poor and the middle class is considered entitlements.
Instead of a right.
Handouts. Yeah, instead of a right, according to Republicans, according to
But a
conservatives.
subsidy for a big oil company is a right.
Oh yeah, that's
Don't
a right.
touch that.
You see how hypocritical and miserable and wicked they really are, conservative Republicans? Hypocrisy and greed and selfishness. Hey, doesn't that sound a lot like the devil's economics?
Of course. Of course.
Interesting. The end times. The soldiers of Satan.
I don't understand what has happened to America. But it makes me very afraid. And then one more short one before we take a break, okay? President Obama said that he would not guarantee Social Security checks will go out after August the 3rd. I do not think this is an entitlement. If you paid into the fund, as many of us did, does this mean the government borrows this money? If anything should be in jeopardy, it should be real entitlements, welfare, food stamps, other free money programs. Then there would be savings. Obama must come up with some plan that the people would approve of. Now here's an example of what goes on all the time. You see? You got one poor person attacking other poor persons. And that's how the rich and the elitists have gotten us to where we are, you see, in this country.
Divide
and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And you get all the idiots, the lemmings, the corporate ass-kissing middle-class people that act like Republicans have their best interests at heart. But how come Obama didn't mention, and other Democrats didn't mention something very important? And that is, instead of the little guy making sacrifices, why can't congressmen and senators take a pay cut and pay for their own health care and their own retirement? They're making like $175,000 a year. Why can't they, public servants, take a pay cut? Why do Social Security recipients have to not receive their checks? Why do government employees have to take a pay cut or a pay freeze? Why do state and government employees all need to be laid off? It never comes up about governors or U.S. senators, U.S. congresspeople taking a pay cut and paying for their own health insurance and retirement, which they can definitely afford to do. That never comes up.
By the way, the Congress got their 4% wage increase.
You got to be kidding me.
No.
This year?
It's automatic. Every year.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So they want it to be automatic, practically, that the masses get screwed.
That's correct.
And the poor and people, living day to day,
That's correct.
Oh, really? Is it? But, why aren't people protesting about that? Why aren't people enraged about that?
Because their minds are turned to other things, like I just pointed out in that one
Like
moment.
stupid
woman-
videos on TV.
A woman or a man who is down on his luck, or is a poor person, or lower middle class, or whatever, they will defend their program, but then they will attack other programs which benefit the poor. They will attack the other poor. This is what has happened.
I mean, you see,
instead of attacking the real enemy, who is over there, the elitist.
You see people protesting to support Republicans and the Tea Party, but you don't see middle America protesting about the hypocrisy and the corruption that's going on now, about our public servants not taking a pay cut or paying for their own health care and so on and so on. I mean, they're public servants. Why does the little guy and the poor need to take cuts and make sacrifices? Get it through your head. Helping corporations and helping the rich does not, and will not create jobs in America. It's a big lie. It's a big hoax. Right? The court justice had. Now, what about this he pissed me off. This handicapped person with no arms attends a Major League Baseball game not too long ago, goes up on the pitcher's mound and throws the first pitch with his foot to prove just how productive the handicapped really are, and that will probably add fuel to the fire and give conservatives more reason to take away your Social Security disability.
Whatever benefits. That's right. It's on.
These people are shooting themselves. Well, the guy has no arms. You can't shoot him. They're figuratively shooting themselves in both feet and screwing them.
That's what they do. The Republicans, they count on that because
stupid fuck.
The Chief Justice Roberts, Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Anybody who can brush their teeth is not disabled. Sorry.
If you have no arms and legs and you can become second base for Major League Baseball, you can get a job. You can hold a job.
And then we'll cut all your benefits.
Yeah. What was that stupid law in Washington when all the handicapped got together and wanted to be treated equally to everybody else? And
the ADA.
Is that what that was?
Americans with Disabilities Act.
Was that in the 1980s?
90s. That was actually George Herbert Walker Bush.
There you go, Republican.
Yeah.
And of course the
put that in.
The handicap they played right into that crap, and now they got screwed. All right, we got to take a little break. Greetings, we're back from break. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is partaking in his lunch, and of course after his lunch he will have high tea. He will partake in high green tea. And now is the time to do promo. I took my court jester's hat off because I felt that that was part of the beginning of the show, the first segment, which was about the great American hoax, and most likely the primary title of this video, which is if America was a Christian nation, we would not have any poor, which happens to be true. But let me get promo out of the way. See this gentleman right next to me? This guy right here. This is a self-portrait of my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist. And this, of course, is a fine watercolor painting done by him, of him. The William J. Eisenman collection can be seen at the William J. Eisenman Facebook profile, and it can be seen at his website, www.newslettercensored.com. If you happen to, hopefully, William J. Eisenman's paintings can be seen to the public, because I think in order for Facebook albums to be seen by the public, you have to
register.
You have to create the free promo page that Facebook allows people with agendas to create, business or what have you.
Or register.
Register. In other words, you can select that your album is be publicly seen.
The person who wants to go there and see something must register.
Must be a Facebook
member.
Right, but I'll give you an example. The Mega Life 21 Facebook page, which is aside from me, I'm the moderator or the administrator, James P. Madonna. If you go to the Mega Life 21 Facebook page, you do not have to log in. I already verified that. It's like MySpace. Everyone and anyone can look at it. But then if you want to go to my page, the personal page, you got to log in.
Profile.
Yeah, the profile. So therefore, you create the business agenda page, and you are the administrator to that page. All right, but that page is public. Anyway, if you like one of his paintings, send him an email, find out if it's still available, and it can be purchased. The starting bid is $500 each. If the painting is available. Now, I just want to show you, I am proud to announce that the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's newest watercolor painting is finished, and I will show it to you now. It is a portrait of the Wizard Ozzy Buko's personal assistant, Esmeralda. Okay? It happens to be a painting done based on her resume, her profile, her resume photo when she first applied here at the Newsletter Censored Research Center. It is not a brand new photo, but it is her resume photo that she originally used. Anyway, here it is, signed by William J. Eisenman himself. Hopefully it is, I am holding it correctly in front of the camera. I don't want to hold it too high.
It's okay.
Is okay? Okay. Now, this is Esmeralda. Very well done painting. Outstanding painting. Watercolor painting done by my co-host and mentor, William J. Eisenman of Newsletter Censored. All right, and this will eventually, after it is scanned, be given to Esmeralda. Now, very, very well done, this painting. This is Esmeralda. Now, you see the talent that William J. Eisenman has. A fine watercolor artist, and just get a good look at it, because then it will be scanned and it will be put not only in the William J. Eisenman collection album, but it will be placed in the Mega Life 21 Facebook page, in the photo album there. All right. This is a historic event. Right. Got it? All right. Oh. Now it's time for the backbone of this organization, which is this. Newsletter Censored. This is the best way to be a part of our organization. Newsletter Censored. This is a brand new issue that just came out, titled This Country Was Never a Christian Nation, by William J. Eisenman, PhD. You're not going to find this anywhere else in the world. This is the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? It discussed the 5 taboos of American life: politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. Okay. There's more information in the newsletter than there is on our websites or on our talk shows. You need Newsletter Censored to survive the end times. You need Newsletter Censored to learn how to defeat a conservative. And a lot of what we discussed today happened to be in the newsletter, in the new issue. And this issue is number 116. All right. Now, after the political article, we have The God Project by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity, okay, where he tells you what the Bible really says, not what counterfeit Christian, right-wing fundamentalist conservatives tell you what the Bible says. This is what the Bible really says, not what, like, crazy nuts like Harold Camping tell you what the Bible says. Okay, and other people like him, Pat Robertson,
Michelle Bachmann,
yeah, other phony people, conservatives that do not know the Bible, they only thump it. Zealots, right? Religious zealots. Right-wing conservatives, right-wing fundamentalists. Okay, after The God Project, we have A Sexuality, A Holistic Approach by William J. Eisenman, PhD. And it's an extra long one. So anyway, the best way to be a part of our organization and support this work is to get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored with your gift to support this work by going to www.newslettercensored.com. Read all the hard-hitting information, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored, founded in 1977 by William J. Eisenman, PhD. You hear that? 1977. Very well established newsletter. This is the backbone of our organization. This is the best way to be a part of our organization and to support this work, is to get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored with your gift to support this work. This is it. What it's all about, brother. All right, now, make myself a little useful here. All right, that was an invigorating promo. Invigorating indeed. Continue with the articles.
America of the 21st century is operating on 1950s revenues.
Really?
That, in a nutshell, is our problem. We are a nation of 300 million people, actually it's 310,
Wow, already, huh?
who are being asked to sacrifice so the needs of the few can be met. We are not demanding smaller government, but good government. We are not upset over government spending, but angry that government continues to subsidize corporate America. We are angry that 97% of Republicans have taken a pledge to never raise taxes as our most vulnerable are thrown to the curb. We are angry. This debt ceiling obstructionism by House Republicans has succeeded in grinding the important business of government to a halt. We are angry. House Republicans continue to hold this country hostage, to do the bidding of the rich and the richer, without regard for what is best for the majority. We may not wear flag lapel pins to show love of country, but we fight the good fight by demanding respect, empathy, and consideration for our fellow Americans. We are the middle class,
There you go.
and it's time for our voices to be heard.
Yeah, and to actually learn the real hard-hitting truth and accept the real hard-hitting truth and not believe the lies coming from the conservative Tea Party snake oil salesman. You know, the charlatans, the false prophets, the white horse of the apocalypse, false religion, false prophets, right?
Yep.
There you go.
Does anyone remember the Republicans? The Bush administration?
How can-
2006?
How can we forget?
Well, obviously a lot of people are forgetting it because Obama owns this economy now.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I assume if an owner of a Major League Baseball team is always at the bottom of the cellar and his players are horrible beyond compare, I suppose that the next manager of the team will get blamed
Exactly.
for the poor performance of a horrible bunch of losers.
Exactly.
Does that sound fair to you? No.
Does that sound like critical thinking to anyone? No.
Sounds very illogical. And that's what's happening in Washington.
So does anybody remember the Bush administration, 2006?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
deficit in trillions
Oh, man.
left by the last administration in 2009?
Oh, boy.
The deficit in trillions left by Bush. Okay?
Including the
Keep that in mind.
Iraq and Afghanistan war, including
Medicare Part D.
Medicare Part D and Wall Street bailout in
Wall
the
Street,
trillions.
yeah, TARP. Apparently not. The Republicans, Congress, apparently not the Republicans in Congress, for they are acting in this battle to bring down the deficit as though it were the Democrats who created it.
Well, they like Bushy. Today's Republicans there. They all thought what Bush did was...
Yeah, but now
Pretty
they've
good,
changed
right?
their mind, you see. This is the issue here. That's what
Yeah.
is happening, as I told you. As that gentleman put in his book, The Two Santa Clauses. When Republicans get into office, spend like drunken sailors, and then blame the Democrat when he comes in to fix it up.
Then why did Trump, with his puckery, lemon sour puss face, say that it's the Democrats that spend like drunken sailors?
He lied. It's very simple.
Well, he's conservative. He's an elitist.
They're good at it.
So of course he lied. You expect to hear the truth from conservative elitists?
No.
Where was I?
For they, the Republicans, are acting in this battle to bring down the deficit as though it were the Democrats who created it, and the Republicans were the fiscally responsible ones.
Yeah.
They claim that the Obama administration has spent too much. On what? Not on education, certainly. Their non-negotiable position is anything but don't tax the rich. They are willing to eliminate Social Security and Medicare, mainly because the rich do not need it. But get it anyway as gravy.
Gee, talk about wasteful spending. Talk about the pork barrels. What hypocrites, man? Why do people who make was it $250,000 a year and over? Why are these people receiving any handouts whatsoever? You
They're
know,
poor. They're poor.
even if they're
They
public,
can't make it.
they can't make it. Even if they're public servants,
They can't.
They don't deserve a taxpayer-sponsored health care plan or retirement plan. They don't need this. They don't need this. Even a humble little Chris Christie, who's worth $3.8 million. He doesn't need any freebies from the taxpayers. He could afford his own everything, just about, really. You know, incredible. He doesn't even deserve the salary he gets if he's worth that much money. He's a public servant. Why do any of them
Get a salary.
need to get $175,000 a year as a salary in this day and age? 175 grand with this economy and non-existent job market. Even though Republicans will lie again and tell you there's plenty of jobs out there. Yeah. Open up the Sunday paper. You're lucky if you have one page in the Help Wanted. And on the one page, it's probably maybe a large percentage of it will be agencies. And the rest, specific specialty type jobs that require many years of experience and lots of education and certifications and blah 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 blah. You know, not for mainstream.
Anyway, they call for less spending. They preach responsibility because they do not need government spending except on the military and related sectors such as oil, gas, steel, plastic, rubber, electronics. It is time Americans put the responsibility where it lies. They have been overwhelmed by the great conservative talking shop. It is time to give Congress back to President Obama so they can put their ideas into action.
I like the guy that wrote this article.
Ideas that will benefit the great majority in this country, not just the very few.
This is a great article, you know. Whoever wrote this is right on the money.
Yeah.
Right on the money indeed.
When I hear Social Security being called an entitlement, I get furious. I, like most people receiving Social Security, have paid into the system for more than 45 years.
Like I said before. Yeah.
I am still paying because I am still working.
Because he has to, unfortunately, right?
I calculated that if invested in the stock market, all that money I paid would be worth close to $850,000. Instead of calling Social Security an entitlement, call it an endowment, as that is what it really is. Actually, it's an insurance program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an insurance program that if it was modified would have been an excellent public option program for a American healthcare reform system. You know, excellent. That's if the rich paid their fair share of taxes.
Well, that's what the problem is.
They would have took care of it,
We've
right?
got 30 years of them not paying
Right, and cut the military budget
their fair share.
like it should be.
Even when Clinton raised their taxes from 36 or 35% to 39%, that wasn't what they were paying at one time.
No, originally it was 91% tax rate.
Yeah.
In
Then
this country.
70 during the 70s and whatever. And then under Reagan 50, and then down to 28 or whatever the hell it was, and then back up to 35, and they've never been paying their fair share.
So
He who makes the money pays the taxes.
that's the way it should be.
Simple, not should. That's the way it was made.
So the rich,
That's the law.
so the rich getting the so-called free ride started with the Reagan administration.
Reagan, free ride.
Free ride.
Yeah. And corporations, don't forget those.
And corporations, and that's when your deregulation started, and everything just ran amok.
That's it.
More or less.
That's it. A little more about Mr. Balloon Boy or what?
Oh yeah, bring those Balloon Boy articles to the forefront.
New Jersey's
He's the poster boy, isn't he?
Oh yeah. New Jersey's unemployment rate is still above the national average, and property taxes remain the highest in the country. But a new radio ad featuring Governor Christie proclaims the state's comeback has begun. The governor explains in the 60-second ad, funded by the state Republican Party, how the budget he enacted late last month is helping to fuel the state's recovery through business tax cuts, more property tax relief, and increased school aid. The $29.7 billion budget also spares New Jersey families from any tax increases for the second straight year. This year's budget is a win for all New Jersey families. Here's a closer look at the claims made by Christie. What Christie claims: a truly balanced state budget. True, the state budget is balanced, as the state constitution requires, and does not rely on the type of gimmicks and borrowing schemes that became part of the Trenton routine during the last decade. But Christie's spending plan includes only a fraction of the $3.5 billion payment that actuaries have called for to satisfy the current obligations of the public employee pension system.
Mm-hmm.
The governor's decision to take money from the pension fund and spend it elsewhere adds to a deficit in a pension system that is already underfunded by $54 billion. What Christie claims: $850 million in new aid to public schools. Again, it's true. The budget Christie signed into law includes $850 million more in education aid than his last spending plan, but the increase comes only after Christie's first budget cut education aid by $820 million.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the governor originally proposed in his February budget address to increase school funding by a more modest $250 million. A state Supreme Court ruling in May called for $500 million more for the state's needed school districts, and a Democratic attempt in late June to get more than $1 billion in school aid led Christie to accept a final budget with that $850 million increase he is touted in the ad.
All right. Well, Balloon Boy,
The
Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey is the poster boy for conservatives, because he represents all the negativity that conservatives represent. He's perfect for them.
Christie claims he doubled the property tax credits for seniors and the middle class. With property tax bills averaging an all-time high of $7,576 in New Jersey, Christie's budget does provide enough funding to double the property tax credit for many homeowners, including seniors, over last year's amount. But the increase comes after Christie's first budget eliminated altogether 1,000 property tax rebate checks made popular by prior Democratic administrations, and replaced them with a new tax credit that totaled $202 for property owners earning up to $75,000, and $270 for senior property owners earning up to $150,000. So you see what happened there, don't you? Remember we were discussing what happened with the 84-year-old woman that he went to see on Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. So he took away all of the benefits for the poorer people,
Right.
and he gave them to the richer people.
Just a redistribution
Of wealth.
of wealth, but
Oh, wait a minute.
but reverse.
Wait a minute. Isn't that socialism?
Isn't that what they accuse the Democrats of trying to do? Obama are trying to do recently, trying to accuse Obama of redistributing wealth, but at the same time, as they say that, they are continuing to do a reverse Robin Hood, take from the poor and give to the rich.
They've been doing that since Reagan.
Instead of doing the correct Robin Hood, which is the biblical way, is to have the rich give to the poor. No, they're doing a reverse Robin Hood. But that's okay. That's a good redistribution of wealth according to conservatives.
Well, that's what red staters obviously believe because they keep voting for them.
I'm still trying to figure out why red staters, who many of these voters are poor or middle class. I'm trying to figure out, or middle class people on their way of becoming poor. I'm trying to understand the psychology behind why they vote against their own best interests time after time. Is it their religious fanaticism of their counterfeit Christianity that they practice?
Seems to be.
That makes them do this? Perhaps?
It seems that is the drive in some of them.
Yeah, because it really doesn't make sense at all.
No, it's not logical at all.
It's like when somebody is penny wise and pound foolish and gets all excited that they're saving so much money, penny pinching right now, when in reality they end up spending a lot more money in the near future, and they end up screwing themselves, and then they're so happy that they're just a cheap bastard, and what they're doing now, they're so proud of it, and they end up screwing themselves, long term. People don't think long term. These Americans out there that keep on voting conservative Republican obviously don't think long term. Maybe not even the Republican politicians are thinking long term. The very conservative,
maybe they're not thinking at all.
The very conservative Republican politicians that are getting elected by the lemmings, all of them collectively are not thinking. So what do we have? We have the Bible prophecy of the modern day descendants of ancient Israel, Ephraim and Manasseh, in this case Great Britain and the United States, prophesized to go down to oblivion, and that's the way it was meant to be in the end times. And we see exactly what side Satan is taking. I think Satan has set up camp. His main office is now, in my opinion, that would be a good main office for Satan, right?
Maybe he sits in Boehner's office.
You mean that mild?
Mitch McConnell.
You mean that mild-mannered man with the puppy dog eyes, John Boehner, who cries at the drop of a hat? You mean Satan might be sharing a desk with John Boehner? He seems like such a mild.
He might be sharing a beer with him too.
Gentleman. I would think Satan would prefer maybe Chris Christie's office. Since Chris
Saint,
Christie.
what are you talking about? You're talking about a spirit being that wanted to be God. Why would he be satisfied with a governor's office?
Well, because he's a future.
He owns the nations of the world.
Because the Republican Party looks up to Christie so much, because he's like a big ogre. He's such an ogre.
They just want Christie because they can control him, just like they want all of their any one of their members that they want to run.
All right,
something.
Speaker of the House, John Boehner. Yeah. I guess that would be a logical office to share, John Boehner's office. That would make sense.
At least to influence, anyway.
Yeah.
Under the new budget, the credit will rise to $404 for property owners earning up to $75,000, and $540 for senior property owners earning up to $150,000. But the state will be spending far less on property tax relief under Christie this year than it did during prior administrations, when property tax bills averaged under $7,000. Now you see here again, here's a problem with the journalist here, who obviously does not understand the program, because he too was sucked in to the program only benefiting homeowners. But the program benefited, as I said before, tenants in previous years. Those who didn't have incomes of $75,000 or $150,000.
Right.
You see. Christie claims cutting taxes for small business to create new jobs. The Christie spending plan includes about $185 million in business tax cuts.
Does he plan on really cutting taxes for small businesses? Oh,
I don't think so. When they say small business,
what do they mean by small?
they're talking about people making more than $250,000.
They're not talking about entrepreneurs, mom and pop stores.
No.
No, they're talking about
No,
fat
no.
cats. So they twist their words around. Their meanings are all perverted
That's
and
correct.
corrupted.
That's right.
Okay, fat cats.
And the governor also vetoed an attempt to raise the income tax on millionaires that was linked to the version of the budget Democrats sent to the governor. Both policies are designed to address the state's economy and reduce its unemployment rate of more than 9% by promoting reinvestment, business relocation, and hiring. But there's no direct provision forcing businesses to hire in exchange for the tax break, and nothing to guarantee the cuts will lead to job creation.
Okay.
Christie claims no tax increases for any New Jersey family for the second year in a row. True. Christie's budget for the second straight year did not increase the major taxes levied by the state, including the business, the gas, income, and sales tax. But the new spending plan carried over a reduction of the earned income tax credit for low-wage earners that was started last year, something many see as a de facto tax increase that will cost working-class families about $45 million this year.
Lovely.
Any way they can finagle it, you see, it's always the benefit has to go to those who have already benefited.
The money goes with money, like my grandmother used to say. Well, they're experts at finagling. That's all they do is finagle. Renaissance man Ken Create was telling me that his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey, can't get any more funding because the local government is just so corrupted that every government grant, everything that went into Paterson from the state capital and from the federal government just got stolen. So they just got tired of funding these what do you call them? Burnt out American cities that have become crime-ridden ghettos.
Yeah.
Detroit,
Newark.
Newark,
Camden.
Camden, New Jersey, Paterson, Jersey City, some parts of Jersey City.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jersey City has some nice
Some
areas.
decent areas.
Yeah. But but anyway,
Continuing on Mr. Chris
political corruption, and a lot of them are Democrats too.
Well, because in the end, we're not talking about political parties anymore. We're not talking about character structures like liberal and conservative.
This is important.
We're talking about corporatists, ass kissers for big business.
Palms that are greased.
Yeah.
And people that are for sale, right?
Exactly.
So the two-party system is pretty much right now
One party.
a one-party corporatist
And you know what
system.
and Mussolini called that fascism. And yes, indeed, we do have fascism in this
They
country.
just don't use the word fascism.
Correct.
No matter how you slice it, it's like if you have a top round roast beef roasted to perfection, whether you slice it against the grain, with the grain, thin, thick, hot, cold, it's still a top round roast beef. Even though I like mine sliced a certain way, what is it supposed to be? With with the
grain.
With the grain. Otherwise, it's tough, right? With the grain and thin. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to get off the subject. Anyway,
Chris Christie is a load, isn't he?
oh, he's a load, all right. All the food from food pantries and soup kitchens are now in Chris Christie's belly.
The first-term New Jersey governor has made a big impression on several GOP funders by his heavy-handed enthusiasm for coming down hard on little folks in his state.
Perfect poster boy, man, for conservatives.
While simultaneously reducing the taxes that corporations and fat cats pay. Using New Jersey's budget deficit as his excuse, he has slashed programs that benefit the middle class and the poor, and has taken great joy in bashing, firing, and disempowering school teachers and other public employees. Wowed by a governor who so unabashedly throws his weight around on their behalf, some Republican donors around the country are now begging Christie to run for president.
Begging him.
But they've chosen the wrong verb. The governor, who weighs more than a prize-winning hog at the state fair, doesn't do any running.
This is precious, man.
Not much walking either.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
Up until May 31st, Christie was a political unknown to voters outside of New Jersey. But on that day, the corpulent Politico cannonballed into the national public consciousness by commandeering a $12.5 million state police helicopter to transport him 80 miles from the State House to watch his son play in a high school baseball game. By literally taking taxpayers for a ride while piously preaching budget austerity and demanding sacrifice from New Jersey's Joe Schmoes, the governor made news from coast to coast. Less publicized, however, was the fact that his honorableness took yet another ride on the taxpayers' back that evening. Once his chopper landed next to the ball field, he didn't simply walk to his seat like a common citizen. Instead, Christie was met at the helicopter by a state limo.
Wow.
That had been dispatched to haul him 300 feet to the bleachers.
He's worse than Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard. Man, this guy thinks he's real special, doesn't he?
Then, during the 5th inning, the game was suspended, while he and his bodyguards up and left. Again, taking the limo the 300 feet to the helicopter, which lifted him away.
Now, I'm not sure if the Emperor Nero was fat. At least in Hollywood depicted him as being fat, but I'm picturing Christie in like a toga with the wreath around his head
On the chaise lounge.
What is it? Fiddling
with the grapes dangled above his head.
Yeah, with the fiddling while
Or like Jabba the Hutt in Empire Strikes the Empire.
Empire Strikes by Jabba the Hutt. Yeah, Jabba the
Star Wars.
He's oh man.
He's a winner, man.
He honestly, his personality, his appearance, he really is the perfect poster boy for conservatives. He really is. And I just want to say, my friend, these articles this week have been outstanding and right on the money. Continue.
What was so important that he would leave his son's game early and use state vehicles and staff to move him from A to B to C? He had a political meeting 70 miles away in Princeton with some Republican fat cats from Iowa to discuss the possibility of taking Christie and his austerity shtick national.
See?
Imagine the outraged scorn that this governor would heap on a group of teachers if they dared to requisition a school district car to drive to a political meeting.
And of course, if somebody read this at one of Chris Christie's town hall meetings, they would be immediately shouted down and possibly removed from the town hall, right?
Yeah, or like he did with that woman who asked him how come his kids go to private school instead of public school.
You got nasty with her.
And he told her it was none of her business. You know?
Well, it's not just this. See, this is not just the Chris Christie show or Chris Christie, the life of Chris Christie. This is much deeper than that. This man's lifestyle and behavior is the very foundation, the very core of conservatism, right? Conservative corporatism. This is beyond Chris Christie. It just so happens that Chris Christie happens to be the most obnoxious, rude, crude windbag that the Republican Party has right now. I think he even surpasses Rush Limbaugh, honestly.
I don't know if anybody can surpass Rush Limbaugh.
Well, but Rush
Limbaugh obviously doesn't have the power
right,
in the state or the government that a Christie or a Boehner has.
Well, Rush Limbaugh says it with a smile. He has that saccharine sweet Cheshire cat grin. Chris Christie does it with a mean-spirited face.
And with a pen.
Puckery, bloated, yeah, with a pen. Rush Limbaugh would just blurt out things and make a joke about it. You know, like he'll say something stupid like, oh, it doesn't matter if whales and dolphins get caught in the net and die. In reality, they're really not smart animals. They're very stupid, and it doesn't matter if they die. The profit of commercial fishermen are more important. Like he'll say dumb things like, there is no global warming, and there is no holes. There are no holes in the ozone layer. He'll say stupid things like that, Rush Limbaugh. You know, I guess they're both neck and neck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Christie has more power.
Do you have a heavy hitter that is not long? Because we're approaching the bewitching hour, the end of the show.
Let's do this here.
You got good one?
Being a Christian,
yeah,
used to mean showing compassion for those in need.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Look at our state's latest budget, which features millions in cuts for social programs that will affect our state's neediest children. Governor Christie's budget recommends $537 million reduction to the budget for the Child Advocacy Center, which helps abused kids. $55 million in college tuition grants for needy young people. And $3 million cut to an after-school program called NJ After 3.
Chop, chop, tomahawk, chop for the poor, towards the poor.
Christie stripped the total transitional aid fund to distressed cities from $149 million to $10 million. Slashed $500 million from Medicaid and cut $30 million from programs that benefit immigrants and the working poor. Clearly an attack on the state's poor.
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs 28, verse 3 says,
this person knows this.
A ruler who oppresses the poor is like a driving rain that leaves no crops. How sad that Christie, who could have rained down kindness on his people, instead has chosen to send those who can least afford it into the economic desert.
Are you familiar with that proverb? That's a good one.
I am now.
That's a dandy. That's a dandy, yeah.
It's a dandy. Maybe it'll be added to the
I like it.
to the newsletter.
I like it.
Remember.
I like it because you know why? Because it's directly targeted to today's corporate plutocracy advocating conservative ruler political leaders. It's very applicable to today.
I was at the chicken
Applicable.
section of the supermarket waiting for
Really?
a gray-haired elderly lady to finish her selection.
Chicken. I'm going to have Popeye's chicken tonight for dinner. Spicy.
She was
spicy.
careful in her
Yeah.
choice. Finally turning around and seeing me, she said, things are so expensive these days.
No kidding.
As she pushed her cart away, I noticed she was only slightly taller than her cart.
I think you read this one.
I did?
Is this is, yeah, you did read this one, sir. The lady shopping that was talking
Lady
about the
shopping.
price of
Food.
gross food, which is insane. I mean, come
All
on.
right, here's one more here.
Average family grocery bill, 100, 200 or more.
A liberal group upset over potential cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security delivered pledges Friday to President Obama. Obama's national campaign headquarters, threatening to pull its support. About a dozen people representing the Progressive Change Campaign Committee delivered what they said were 200,000 pledges from people who will refuse to donate or volunteer for Obama's re-election campaign if he cuts the entitlement programs.
Yeah.
It's not a question of who they're going to support for president. They're going to vote for Barack Obama. It's a question of where their time and money is going to go. Obama has been taking heat from the left over the debt ceiling negotiations in which he has been willing to target the long-standing programs. His approach is certain to sit better with independent voters, many of whom have told pollsters they want Washington politicians to work together to solve big problems. It was said that 200,000 people represent more than $17 million in donations to Obama's campaign in 2008, and about 2.6 million volunteer hours. I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet, because there doesn't seem to be too many people on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But I will vote for someone, whether it's a green candidate, a communist, I don't care. Somebody who's going to stand up for the people.
Yeah. An independent.
The Obama campaign's chief operating officer, Anne Marie Habershaw, accepted the group's petitions. Americans elected the president in 2008 to take on the big challenges facing our country, and he's engaged in an effort to do just that, Obama spokesman Ben LaBolt said. Really?
No, interesting.
Really?
Really? It's very good. Very, very powerful indeed, the articles for this week's discussions. Number, I believe, 79. Because last week I decided to count all the discussions we ever did since we first got the brainchild, you
You
the
need an
idea.
abacus to do that.
No, I didn't need an abacus at all. 79. Today is number 79, believe it or not. 79 discussions already. Oh, by the way, speaking of independent candidacies for president, my mentor and co-host and founder of Newsletter Censored, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, has once again thrown in his hat,
Cowboy hat.
his cowboy hat, for as an independent candidate for 2012 for president, and it is a write-in. And
We'll learn how to do it.
for those of you who do not know what a write-in is, look it up on Google. You simply ask people that work at the polls, what is a write-in and how can I do? Actually, you know what you do? Google it, find out what a write-in is, and when you go, ask. Say, how do I write in? And if you're sick and tired of business as usual with the two-party system that have sold you out to the corporations and the elitists, and you've decided that there's no real, powerful independent candidate that is out there, and also there's a good chance that the independent candidates will not be invited to the presidential debates come 2012, like they're supposed to be. Like in the old days, right? The League of Women Voters were running the debates.
Yeah, you don't see that much anymore, do you?
And I bet way back when I used to see at least one independent candidate invited to the debates. It's only fair. Got to take the money out of politics. Unfortunately, it got worse. So this is why we need an independent, a progressive liberal, which is close to God's economics. I see a new newspaper. I see a new newspaper comic hanging up by your calendar with the devil. Is that a good one?
Well, it's concerning the heat.
Concerning the heat
Concerning
wave.
the heat wave. Yeah,
It's
the
not.
devil-
It's not.
The devil is thinking it's hotter out here than in hell.
You know what? Maybe it is. It's not. It's not Satan knocking on the door, saying good
No.
morning to John Boehner,
Or inviting Christy in.
or inviting Christie into his office for a little powwow. I thought that's what it was. To smoke him.
Smoke the peace pipe.
Well, if smoke him peace pipe, of course, with Christie, he would suck all the tobacco in his mouth with one puff, with those cheeks. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us for discussions.
Send them to the website for if they want to read about the candidacy.
Go to www.newslettercensored.com and click on Dr. Bill for President. Dr. Bill for President. Did you update that, by the way?
Updated it. Threw the hat into the ring.
Okay, and also when you come out with any powerful information, of course, copy and paste anything of value to add to the website. But anyway, go there, Dr. Bill for President, read it. Actually, hang out for a while and read the whole website. It's pretty heavy duty, and you'll see, you'll get the gist in detail of his campaign, Dr. Bill's campaign, and also there might be something there about write-in.
Well,
What it is.
I can't do anything about that. It's different in each state.
Each state is different.
You'd have to, the poll people have to tell you.
Okay.
If you don't know, you're not familiar with it. But
If they're not on the ballot, a write-in is an option that Americans have a right to choose,
correct.
and you simply means you are choosing somebody who is not in the elitist, mainstream, prime time, ballot.
Because to get your name on the
Corporate
ballot,
ass kissers. Yeah.
I'm not sure in New Jersey anymore. I know back in '84, I believe, when I ran for governor, it took 800 names in your petition to get on the ballot.
Really?
So for president, I don't know what it would take, but you're talking maybe 50,000 signatures in maybe a state. But it's different in each state.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of baloney.
Well, of course, it's a lot of baloney. Plus, if you're not going to be invited to the presidential debates anyway, because unfortunately, with the two-party system and the American media and corporate America, they feel that money should be in politics, which is the reason why you, the American people, have been screwed over big time for decades. So since we need to take the money out of politics, and since an independent candidate will not be invited to the debates, okay, we might as well just do a write-in.
And so what we're saying on the website is that instead of sending money to the campaign, send 10 other people to the website
Yeah.
to read of the campaign.
And all of the
You ever
Reverend...
see them stupid emails that they send around? Everybody sends a stupid email and they say, keep this email going. And I'm sure they reach millions and millions of people. So why can't somebody who goes to the damn website tell 10 other people about it?
And we don't force you to create an account with a username and a password. You just simply go to newslettercensored.com and read. And if you want to support this work, aside from the campaign now, get your free annual subscription with your gift to support this work of Newsletter Censored. But that's separate from the campaign. So the campaign is no pressure at all. You're not buying anything. You're not donating anything per se. It's free to read. You do not have to create an account with a username and password. You just simply go there and read. And then if you want to know where the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, watch the shows and read the newsletters.
Right.
It's as simple as that. It can't be any simpler, you know. But anyway,
return the power to the people.
We the people. Remember Kirk was emphasizing "we the people" in one of the old Star Trek episodes?
Yeah, he was.
The planet.
Yeah, where those people worship the Constitution and Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, how that got to their planet, I have no idea.
Their language was screwed up, and
yeah.
At first he didn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah, but Kirk made a lot of sense when he kept on saying "we the people," the power of those words.
Well, that's what the Declaration of Independence says.
But G.W. Bush just says it was nothing but a damn piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
And which amendments took away the rights that we used to have? The ones that they screwed up and corrupted.
None took away the rights.
No, I mean, what is the one where they're allowed to literally spy on you and to come in your house?
That's the Patriot Act.
Oh, the Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act just doesn't care about the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah.
Now, that's one of the problems with America.
The Patriot Act.
If you don't...
It's called the Patriot Act. Yeah, sure.
Congress can make any law at once.
Patriots.
Okay? It can make any law at once. Supposedly, the Supreme Court is supposed to be there to say, no, that's not constitutional.
Yeah.
All right? But they don't. They're corrupt. So, when you say that they took away rights, no, they didn't change the Constitution per se.
Right.
They just disregarded it. Now, they get away with that because there's no one to take them to court over it. See, in our system of government, the oligarchs have made it so that the poor person cannot obtain justice because justice has a price.
And you're not heard if you don't have no moolah.
That's correct.
It's similar to what Ken Create was telling me about the lyrics of an old Genesis song. One of Phil Collins' song had to do with the homeless. There was a lot of heavy-duty lyrics about the homeless, how the homeless are, when they speak, nobody hears them, and when they're seen, nobody really sees them.
They walk by.
So when you become destitute and you have no money in this society, you become like a non-entity, non-existent. You're not like human anymore. You're not like worth anything anymore.
Right, and the Supreme Court with the Citizens United decision makes money the biggest megaphone in the country. The more money you have, the bigger voice you have in politics.
So your rights as a human being and your worth as a human being and to be heard, to be seen and heard, is directly tied into money. And if you don't have any money, you're non-existent.
Right.
You're like I don't know, it's like this shillelagh running for president, or this shillelagh asking for a little help. Please help me. Please help me. I'm hungry. Please help me. I have something to say. You know.
Give me a wax job.
You know what? You're lining me up for a dirty joke. Give me a wax job. Anyway, yeah, isn't that what Arnold Schwarzenegger said to Mildred Pena? Maria Shriver went bye-bye. I need a nice wax job. Lately the thing in the news is the supposed amicable mutual breakup of singer Mark Anthony and Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, right. I left the comment. Well, Jennifer Lopez did a music video with a Cuban model and actor by the name of William Levy. I don't know where he gets the name Levy from, because it definitely is not Hispanic. But anyway, he's Cuban. He's a good-looking guy. And Mark Anthony had a fit of jealousy. Supposedly, what I hear in the Colombian news media is this is what caused it. And they also said that Jennifer Lopez was the one who first cheated on Mark Anthony, not the other way around. Jennifer Lopez supposedly is a high mileage Puerto Rican from the Bronx, and she's an opportunist, and she's very egomaniacal, and she
I heard something
has to have her own way
about the fact that Mr. Anthony did not like the way his wife dressed. He wanted her to be more housewifey.
He wanted her to be traditional, old-fashioned housewife, and Jennifer Lopez is. Look, you got two famous entertainers.
She was voted most beautiful woman in the world by one magazine.
I'm sure Simon Cowell might have pulled some strings to get that. Come on.
Maybe he pulled something else.
What about Charlize Theron? What about Angelina Jolie? What about Beyonce? Come on, give me a break. The most beautiful woman. Shakira. Esmeralda told me in Colombia, Jennifer Lopez is just an average-looking Hispanic woman in Colombia. She is not the most beautiful woman in the world. Of course, Esmeralda's second cousin on her mother's side is Shakira, the Ripoll side of the family. Anyway, the point is that she has a lot of friends in the business, like Esmeralda explained to me. She has a lot of friends. She has a lot of connections. How she got those connections and friends? Ooh. You know, that's... Hey, high mileage, man. Oh, she's lying about her age. She claims that this weekend Jennifer Lopez will turn 42. But from what I hear, when Jennifer Lopez played Selena way back when, she was like 24, 25 years old. So if you're a mathematics expert and you calculate everything, it makes her older than 42.
Well, women always lie about their age.
Yeah, but she is an egomaniac. She told the producers of American Idol that she must be the only female judge on the panel. Center of attention. But how could people in this day and age that are in the entertainment industry, that are in the public eye, how could these people be anything but selfish and egomaniacal? How could they stay married with this kind of attitude?
Well, that's one of the problems.
Now, in the old days, we had some motion picture legends that were successfully married to one person for life, that you didn't hear any dirt about them. That's old school. But now, they all steal songs, they steal lyrics, they remake other people's music. There's no original productions anymore, like pure original raw talent anymore.
Even Lady Gaga came out the other day in a wheelchair with like a mermaid and stole it from Bette Midler.
First she steals from Madonna, and then now she's stealing from Bette Midler. I heard, I think it was Beyonce did a music video where the music video was stolen from an Italian woman, a female entertainer. You know, the whole thing is like almost identical. I think it was Beyonce. Anyway, they're all stealing. It's like there's no
pressure to stay number one.
There's no morals, there's no ethics, there's no honesty, there's no respect. Like you told me that the young people coming out of Harvard Business School now will sell out their own mother, father, grandmother, grandfather to succeed.
Yeah.
to succeed. 100% pure selfishness. Selfishness, hey, this sounds like a past issue of Censored. Selfishness as a
virtue.
There you go. Selfishness as a virtue.
Classic.
Ayn Rand was approved of this, right?
Oh.
The evil Ayn Rand. And somebody else tried to... what Republicans are doing now, they're trying to find a legitimate moral excuse for selfishness. Interesting. We'll see you next time. This was a heavy-hitting show of discussions. Take care. Say so long.
Hasta la vista.